Well, what's up, Soul Warriors? It's me, LC, and it is thank God it's Friday. Free Your Soul Friday live with LC. And I am grateful, honored, hugely humbled to be here talking to all of you today. What an amazing time. We're coming to the end of 2020, and this year is going to go down in like the history books. People are going to be talking about this year in history for centuries to come. I just know it. And, I know that we're all a little bit worn and ragged and tattered and torn and all those things this year. But you know what we all are as well? We're all stronger. We're all better. We're all more enlightened. We all know who we are a little more than maybe ever before. And that's a little bit about what I want to talk about this morning. And whatever else comes out, I don't know. And I'm learning to love that. Change is our friend. It's been known to be our enemy. But honestly, when we embrace change, the only one thing we can count on, then it becomes our friend and we become more peaceful. So, again, I don't really know exactly what we're going to talk about this morning, but getting to spend time with all of you and getting to spend time, sharing my heart, my journey, and your journey with you, hey, that's a blessing to me. So, if you guys are ready, let's get this thing shared out. Let's bring people into our community, to our family, and let's get into this thing. What's up, Soul Warriors? Again, it's so great to see all of you. Let's say some good mornings here. Good morning, Tim Cups, Shane Dorman. Good to see you, man. Shy Morgan, so good to see you. Livy, always good to see you. Jen Brownlee, good to see you. Alicia Lee, Zoe Bennett. Man, I love so much. Thanks, Zoe, for sharing that. I love that Powerhouse Recovery, man. There's some really beautiful groups coming on the scene. What I love is there is some more conscious recovery coming on the scene. I'm not a lone warrior anymore, and I love that because I have found that recovery has brought me closer to myself. And if myself is what is divine, because I was divinely created and masterfully masterpieced, I'm just making up words right now, then we're in a time of enlightenment, and recovery is the beautiful, amazing vehicle that gets us there. There will be people in this world, in this life, that will live a mundane life, never truly knowing who they are or why they're placed here on earth. And we can be upset about why we had to go through addiction. We can be mad about, about addiction, our past. We can regret everything, or we can embrace it and think of how blessed we truly are, because we will know who we are if we stay in search of that and really connecting with that. And to whom much is given, much is required. And that really means that you are purposed to use your pain in the service of others, which means you got to come through it. We can't service other people with pain that we just let sit there and lie there and that we just complain about. And that anybody and everybody that will listen, we will tell them all about our pain, and we will beat that story over and over and over until we make it who we are. The beauty of recovery is we get to start separating ourselves from the happenings of our lives, that we get to separate ourselves from the place of being a victim and step into being victorious, into being the warrior, into being powerful, because we know who we are. To me, that's a blessing. But it does require a powerful decision, a powerful choice, not to let the happenings of your past or the things that you struggle with now, the pain that you experience, just be there and control you, but that you decide, I'm going to do something with this. I'm not just going to go through this. I'm going to do something with this. And it takes that growth mindset that we talk about here all the time, because we're not born with that. We're not born with a growth mindset. And so many of us come from a background where a lot of us raised ourselves because we had single parents or we had working parents. We raised ourselves. We didn't know who we are. We went through cases of abuse or humiliation, and also in this country, we're taught that humbleness is humiliation, that humbleness is weak. And so we didn't make ourselves vulnerable because we came from a place of the victim. And when you're victimized, when you're a very young person, when your world is victimization, you don't really learn how to be powerful from within. You learn how to stand up and protect yourself, to build shields and force fields around yourself so that you can't be hurt again. The problem is we don't let those things go. And we grow up in our lives and we build even thicker bricks to our walls because that's what we've learned to do. That's our coping skill. If something hurts, build a wall around it. Let no one close to it. And then we find that we're so fortified and our walls are built so thick that we're lonely and we're alone. And we think we're the only one going through what we're going through. And unfortunately, a lot of times we turn to substance. We turn to other people. We turn to destructive habits. Because you see, as we build those walls around our pain, we haven't released that pain. We're letting that stuff stay in us and marinate in us until that becomes who we are. And so we don't like that. We call ourselves names like weak. We call ourselves names like embarrassed, shameful. And there we are, hiding within ourselves, never letting our true hearts be shown, because when we have in the past, someone's come along and dampened that. And I don't put a degree on trauma. Trauma is trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter. It's trauma to that person. Doesn't matter if one person is violently raped and another person deals with divorce. Their trauma is the same to them. The one who went through divorce, they feel that pain maybe as much as the person who went through the other. And so we can't put a degree on mine is bigger than yours, or you don't deserve to feel that way. I got one better. We get in those traps of those conversations. Oh, well, you've had trauma. Well, let me tell you about mine. And so we're caught then in a cycle of the victim. And so we have to develop that growth mindset. Again, it is not something we are born with, but it is something that we have to develop. And the path to develop that is to experience vulnerability. But we have to experience it from a place of knowing that nothing can hurt us unless we allow it in. And that's hard. That's hard. It's hard to pick up this new mindset at whatever age we are, because we're no longer 3, we're no longer 4 or 5. That's why it's so easy to change a habit or, an addiction when it's in its early stages than it is when it's, say, 46 years old or 22 years in the making. But it can be done. And it's going to take practice. And I would love to tell you that it won't hurt along the way. It will. But it's in those moments of hurt that the decisions get to be made. It's in those moments of pain that you get to decide, wait a minute, this is what we're talking about here. I wish the work was mailed to you and all of us in a workbook with, a textbook that we could get the lesson through reading and writing and studying. But unfortunately, that's just not the way it goes. We get our lessons by going through. And a really special person to me reached out yesterday and said, I'm having a really hard time. I don't understand. And I thought to myself, you're right where you're supposed to be. Because if you weren't having a hard time, that mindset would not be being reformed, recreated. And so sometimes, instead of going to that default programming that we have, it's like, oh crap, here's my trouble again. Here's my suffering. We can say, here's my time to learn. Here's my time to grow. Change what feels good to us. Again, y'all know I'm getting into it when my voice starts cracking. You know it's coming. It's coming. Change the definition of pain in your life. Change what offers you pain, because struggle doesn't have to be pain. We are all called for something bigger. And it is the going through. Like I said in the beginning, the going through and the growing through that allows us to then reach out and help someone else. It's not just watching it go by. It's not narrowly escaping it. Because there's not much we can teach somebody else about addiction that they won't soon find out themselves. They know how to escape their pain. What they don't know how to do is go through it healthy, to go through it and come out stronger on the other side, to grow through it, not just go through it. And that's what we're here to do. And I guess it's time for us to realize and flip that focus and name calling of ourselves around from victim and sufferer to called, highly purposed, strong, mighty, warrior. It's how we develop love and empathy for one another when we can look at someone who's going through what we've just emerged from and can say, I can promise you, if you just dig into this, use this to change your perspectives on what pain is and what suffering truly is. See this as an amazing lesson. You're going to come out on the other side, and you're going to be so glad you did. Because if you go back to the old story, because trust me, That story that we tell ourselves right now, or in that place of active addiction when we're first in recovery, that old story is going to cry and throw a fit like a toddler not getting what it wants in the store. It is going to fight you. And that's when you dig in even more and you say, I see you, old story, and I'm in the process of destroying that old story and building and becoming who I truly am. And eventually, it will leave. It will get with the program. I remember when we first got our son back, there was a year stretch in there where, he went and lived with his grandparents while we moved to a different state and was trying to get things together and get ourselves together. It was during the time that I had 6 months to live. And he went there to live. And in that time, everything we had taught him, every limitation or not limitation, but every rule or anything we had put in place for him, things we had done to raise him in a particular manner had gone out the door. And when I survived and we began to, did y'all see the deer in the background there? I just saw its white butt go by. Beautiful place I'm in, man. How can I not be blessed right now? I mean, it may look like destruction, that I'm losing everything, but in fact, I'm gaining so much. So much. But we got everything together and we went and got him back. And this was a new person. We did not know him. His behavior was out of this world. It was out of control. But because I had recognized some things that I had gone through when I was young, I knew that he was only testing us to see if we were going to give him away, if we were going to get enough of him and send him back. He had felt rejection somewhere in there, even though we thought we were doing the right thing by him. He had felt rejection. And he was testing us. But we did everything we knew how to do. I mean, everything. Everything, and nothing worked. We gave him spankings. We took we took things from him. We restricted him. We did everything we could, what we knew how to do, and it wasn't working. And my wife got out one day and she went to every agency imaginable, begging for someone to help save her family because we were all falling apart. We had no idea. No one wants to look at their child and see them miserable, but at the same time, we knew the best place for him was with us. We were in clean time at that time. We were working a program, so to speak, and we couldn't figure it out. She finally found somebody who gave us this great gift of going to these parenting classes. And their advice to us was ignore it. How do you do that? He's running wild. Like he is everything we tell him to do. He's doing the opposite and doing it with all he's got. What do you mean? Ignore the behavior, ignore the bad, and reward the good. What? But I'll tell you, it was the best advice we ever got. Within about 6 months, 6 whole months. This thing wasn't instant. We didn't start these parenting classes and everything go right away. It was 6 months. This thing with him started turning around, and it started turning around slowly. And it took mad commitment on our parts as parents. And it took commitment on his part as a child, as our child, Because you see, he wanted to be better. He didn't understand what he was doing or what he was trying to accomplish through that. He just knew, this hurts. Are they going to send me away? We start getting used to pain. And we start putting ourselves through it in attempts to get what we want. And we say, I want recovery, but I just can't. We've got to learn to ignore the old story. Let it whine, let it cry, let it throw its fit, and continuously build the new story of who you really are. Grasping, I am not this pain. Everything I've associated with, that is not me. I am not my addiction. I am not an addict. In order to fully step into that calling, we've got to do the work. And guess what? This is the work. 2020 has been the work. It's going to go down in my book as the work year. This year was the deep work. We've all had to learn how to adapt. We've all had to embrace change. We've all actually embraced each other. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of good that's come out of this. A lot. Many of us were forced to be in our houses with just us. And we were forced to sit there with that old story. And we were put our backs against the wall so we could come out blazing that new story. That's a gift. It's not a curse. That's a gift. We've been shut up with our kids in the house. We get to really see who they are. Because in every other day, we're so busy with work and whatever else we're doing, and they're busy on their devices and homework and all this, that we miss who they are. And that's my one regret with my own son, is that I did not get to see who he really was. And I'll never get to go back and do that. But that's not a place for me to sit. It's amazing watching him become the man that he truly is, and watching him put all of himself into this life. So I pray that today that you will embrace that kicking toddler of your old story. Love the toddler. Ignore the fit. Learn to love you. See where it comes from. We're all attempting to just be loved. And many times the love that we are really longing for is for us to love ourselves. In every human being you see, there's just a small child walking around in a grown-up's body doing grown-up's things that just wants to be seen, heard, loved. And so let's do that for ourselves today. I know it sounds corny. It feels corny sometimes. But until you quiet the toddler, they're going to keep screaming at you to see them. If you're going through trials and tribulations today, embrace them. Embrace them. Change your perspective of what pain is. And in the meantime, change your perspective of what happiness is. As you're constantly evolving and becoming the real, true you, This is what it takes to get there. And without it, you'd just be wishing to know who you really are. So I love you guys, man. I really love you. Hey, Vaughn Max, I love you. You have a blessed Friday as well. Brenda Carter, Anthony Brown, Mary Huffman, Paula saw the deer. Paula Folsom's in the house. Heather Lindquist, hello. Oh, yes, Heather, that's an amazing gift. Heather says she handles her pain by helping others, and that's her gift. That's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful way to get outside of ourselves. Man, if we need a blessing, the best thing we can do is be a blessing. That's what's up. Because you can't be happy and sad all in the same spot, you know? You can't be grateful and angry all at the same time. We don't have that capacity, even though it feels like it sometimes. When we feel like our emotions are swirling around everywhere, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. When we're up, we're up. When we're down, we're down. We're not really feeling those things at the same time. So anytime you need a break from the misery that feels like it's your mind, sit down and get into a place of gratitude. Gratitude will change your mental state quicker than anything. And the way to open the door to receive is to get in gratitude for where you are and what you have and who you have and all of those things. I'm so grateful for my addiction today, because without it, I could not share this life with all of you. I could not know all of you. I could not do this. I would not be stepping into what feels like my purpose without addiction. The very thing that I used to hate about my life is actually my gift. So examine the places in your life today that you hate and learn to see them as your gifts. You are wonderful human beings, amazingly gifted, so heavily talented. If you could see yourself the way the divine sees you, it would blow your mind. And I love that. Jimmy C., good morning. Lana Rossman, Lisa Vargas de Jesus in the house with us live. Man, I love you guys so much. You guys show up here and make me feel loved every time. Oh, I got some new stuff that's going on, man, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm being pulled to next, and what's the next step in the evolution of Recovery Soul Food. And it's all good, and it's all for you guys. And there might be some changes coming down the pipeline there, but you know what? All change is, it's progress. So we'll get to it. I'm trying to figure it out right now. I'm trying to figure a lot of stuff out. So I've learned how to just kind of lay back and receive. Just receive answers. Let things work out. Sometimes the things we try to control and work out ourselves, or we try to find, we block the energy to even let it in, because we're trying to, be the puppet master of everything. And you know what? That creates so much suffering in our lives. When we just kind of lay back and live in trust and say, okay, I know all this is here happening for my good, for an amazing reason. I know that you're growing me through this. So I'm going to just sit back and do what I feel led from my heart to do. And from there, it's in your hands. It's in your hands, out of my hands. Man, that provides an amazing breath to just be able to take, to say, I release this. I surrender this stuff. It's amazing. It truly is. So I appreciate all of your prayers, all of your love, all of your loyalty, everything. I just appreciate y'all so much. And I want you to know that I believe in you every day. Even when you don't believe in yourself, know that I absolutely believe in you, and that I know that you can do anything and everything you put your heart and mind to do. You are just wonderful human beings, and I truly love you. And I don't even know currently, I don't think that I have a guest for this Saturday. So I'm going to actually take this Saturday off again, but I will be back the following Saturday with my good friend Martin John Garcia of the Recover Yourself podcast. He's going to be on my podcast in my hot seat. I really can't wait. And then I've got some other great guests lined up for November. So y'all don't get too comfortable in me not being here, but I got to get all these past broadcasts I've done edited and uploaded to Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, and all those things. And that takes some work. And it's just little me by myself. So I'm trying to do a lot. So I appreciate your patience. You guys get out of here. Have the most amazing Free Your Mind Friday of your entire life. Why? Because you choose to. And yes, you have that much power. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.